This is Bramall Lane, the home of Sheffield United and the oldest football ground in the world. So if I told you the first ever football club came from Sheffield, you might think it was Sheffield United.
Well, I'm afraid you'd be wrong. The answer is actually Sheffield Football Club, or FC as they are known. Most of you would probably not have heard of them, but they have the honour of, back in 1857, starting football. Now that is a big statement, starting the game we know and love today, a game of massive global appeal.
Some kind of game called football has been around in Britain for a lot longer than the 1800s. Since the Middle Ages, the most common variety, still played in many parts of England, involved a mob of hundreds of people running around an area that could cover several miles. There weren't really any rules, just a ball being moved somehow between two vague goals. There was kicking, fighting, and even the occasional stabbing.
It was so riotous that many monarchs passed laws to ban it. Queen Elizabeth I proclaimed no football-y play to be used or suffered within the City of London. Over the following centuries, the game slowly fell into decline, and by the start of the 1800s, it was almost dead. The sports revival came about thanks to the great public schools like Eton, Harrow, Rugby and Charterhouse. Sport, especially football, was a way of creating order and discipline amongst the young men. Unfortunately, every school played by their own set of rules that they considered to be the game of football. Now all that was about to change. In 1857, the members of Sheffield Cricket Club put together a team to keep the cricketers fit during the winter months, and they called it Sheffield Football Club. The only problem was they didn't have any rules to play by.
Two of their members, Nathaniel Creswick and William Prest, went away and wrote their own set of rules. The biggest change was cutting out rugby-style tackling or ball carrying. They also introduced free kicks for foul play and kick-offs from the centre spot.
The Sheffield rules, as they became known, soon took off, and by 1862, 15 other clubs sprung up, and they were playing by those rules as well around the South Yorkshire area.
This was the birth of modern football. Quickly, more and more teams sprung up all over the country, playing each other by a common set of rules. By the 1900s, football had become an international phenomenon, played in front of vast crowds, with players and clubs becoming household names. Today, stadiums like this have become commonplace. But what became of Sheffield FC, the club that started it all?
Well, the answer lies right here, 6 miles south of the city, just across the border in Derbyshire.
I'm here to meet with Richard Timms, the current chairman of Sheffield FC. 12 years ago, he bought the club and saved them from becoming just folklore.
Richard, you bought the club back in 2001. What was it like then?
Well, in 2001, we didn't have a ground. We played at Don Valley Stadium. Luckily, we moved here in about that year. We just had one team, really, and a bag of balls and a kit.
What had happened to Sheffield FC?
Well, before 2001, we'd played football for nearly 150 years, but remaining near our amateur principles and the professional game taking over somewhat left us behind. Not having our own ground left us even further behind. So, we've stumbled and stuttered along, really, for that period of time until we moved here.
Why did you buy it?
It's the oldest football team in the world. It's a great asset to the city, and it's a challenge as well. And if you pop inside, I'll show you some of our archive and where we are now.
As well as finally giving the club a home ground, Richard has managed to build up a collection of memorabilia that reflects its proud history.
Talk me through some of these trophies.
Well, some of these trophies we've acquired recently as we've started to market the club, and the more media we've done, things have come to us. Never having our own ground meant we had no archive.
No trophy room,
no,
so to speak, and now you've got one. So all of this has literally come to you because of the PR the club has generated over the years, being the oldest football club in the world.
It has. It's been in people's cupboards and drawers all over the world. This piece here, that through some of the media we did, I was contacted by a woman in South Africa. So
can I have a look?
Well, you can.
So this has come all the way from South Africa?
Yep.
Inscribed Sheffield Football Club, so she knew exactly who it was going to belong to. 1874. Gosh, isn't that lovely?
And that's solid silver, made
Yeah.
in Sheffield,
Yeah.
and was part of an end-of-season prize.
I mean, it's a nice Victorian piece. It's done in the George II style. It's very classical looking, wonderful urn shape. I mean, you know, that's worth a lot of money within itself, but priceless to this club. I mean, you can't put a value on that, can you? That's your social history.
Indeed. And we have some other interesting
What's
pieces.
that? Is that an early programme or a set of rules?
This is a copy of the original Sheffield rules, which were written in
59.
Yep, this was actually the first printed versions that basically mapped out the development of the beautiful game.
Yeah, if you got the original, that's a copy, isn't it?
The original, unfortunately, got sold because we had to raise some money.
How much did it sell for?
It went for a world record price, just short of £1 million.
That's a lot of money, isn't it?
It's double the previous record for a piece of football memorabilia, yeah.
Hell of a lot of money. What did you do with most of that?
We used it to pay off our land. We now own 8 acres of land, so
Yeah.
it really did put down our roots.
So that's going to generate more income. And obviously you've had all the stands built. And I must say the pitch is in fantastic condition. So you can see it's money well spent, can't you?
Yeah, well, you like to think so.
Right, talk me through some of the rules. What have we got here?
OK, I mean, number one rule is as is today, really, kick off from middle. Must be a place kick.
The centre spot.
Exactly, it's exactly the same thing. So no player must be held or pulled over, which again differs from rugby, which was developed around the same time. A ball in touch is dead, which obviously generates a throw-in. So, you know, some of them, there was no offside here, that didn't come up till a bit later on. So, you know, again, unique piece of history and memorabilia. So, you know, this football club is more than a football club, it's a part of social history on a global scale.
Sure, yeah. So what does the future hold for the young guys that are playing for the club now?
Well, we've done more in the last 10 years than the previous 150, our own ground. We've got a successful ladies' side community teams, 27 teams that play under our banner. So the future's brighter now for Sheffield FC.
And protecting the heritage, and it's down to you really, local boy made good. I mean, you've done something great for the city. It's been a pleasure to meet you as well.
Thank you.
Well, what an amazing piece of social history and culture. It's like one lost, valuable antique that's been forgotten about and covered in dust. Thanks to Richard and all the people here at Sheffield FC, it's been found, cleaned and polished and given a new lease of life. And I think it's got a bright future.